Hi. Okay. You may have just listened to the video that talked about why you're stuck and why it's so difficult to make decisions. And now in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how do we get unstuck? How do we move ourselves when we are in a place of complete indecision and just sometimes it feels like being stuck in a traffic jam or stuck in the mud, and how do we get ourselves out of it? And one of the things I talked about in the previous video is what are the reasons we're stuck? Let's quickly recap. And in each of those recaps, I'll talk to you about how do we get unstuck. So first reason why we get stuck is that there's too many choices. We've been in this place, even when we've gone to shop for cell phone covers. There's now many choices, tens of choices, 20s of choices. How do we decide? And when we're in that place of too many choices, a really important thing to do is to think about what are our criteria? What is going to help us be most satisfied with the decision that we want? So setting choice criteria and decision criteria is a real key to overcoming the paralysis that can come from having too many choices or only seeing the negatives in the choices. That goes to the second thing. Our brains, I talked about, are negatively wired to see the negative possibilities and to focus on the negative things that have happened. So what do we do to get unstuck? We start to identify our own strengths. We identify our achievements. We identify possibilities. So we stop thinking about all the things that have been happening negatively. Now, this is not just positive affirmation, say good things and it will happen, but it's really recognizing that there's multiple perspectives on any situation and we can choose our perspective. You can choose to focus on your strengths, your achievements, and the possibilities that are ahead of you. Thirdly is that we prioritize the short term over the long term. And so we get stuck, we tend to gravitate and stay in what we are in rather than moving towards something new. And in divorce, this is absolutely true. We see the pain we're in and we only see all the troubles that are ahead of us as we start to take steps forward or think about taking steps forward. A really helpful thing to do can be to start to map out your long-term goals and really focus on what are my values, what is really important to me. But if you can set a list of long-term goals and what you want to achieve in your life as you move forward here, it can help bring you out of that short-term stuck place. Next reason we got stuck is that we think linearly and we have a fixated way of thinking about things. We always do things a certain way. I've tried this before and it didn't work. I've tried to go to counseling and that didn't work. I've tried to speak to my partner in this way and that didn't work. We've been fixed on doing things a certain way. So now to get unstuck makes sense. We need to think creatively. Okay, Adina, how do we do that? I'm pretty stuck in thinking about it the way I've always been thinking about it. That's where support comes in. There are many places and people who can help us to start to break out of the way we've been thinking about things. The key is we need to be open to it. We need to stop shutting down the possibilities of that creative thinking. Here's a place where a coach, friends, family can be really helpful. So let's start thinking about how we can think creatively. Then we talk about that we trust our minds to fix the problem. Well, I solve problems all day long at work. I solve problems all day long at home. I can fix all kinds of things. Why can't I fix this? And it's partly because we're trying to think our way out of the problem. There's this really powerful other resource we have. It's known as our intuition. And many of us are afraid to trust our intuition. So we go back to our minds. Well, our minds are the ones that have created the problem in the first place for us. So tapping another resource is going to be really useful. Okay, I've just presented some important ways to get unstuck, and it's not so easy. So let me go back and return to the role of a coach. What can a coach do here? A coach can really help you to move from these places of stuck and to implement these strategies for getting unstuck. Help you to really tap into, understand, and really trust your intuition to be able to know what's right for you. To think of ideas you haven't thought of before, possibilities, ways out that you haven't even considered. Clarify what your long-term values and goals are so you can begin to move toward them. Really help build your personal strength and resilience and recognize all that is good and strong about you. And set your choice criteria for anything you need to do, whether it be choosing an attorney or deciding which option for your finances is best for you, any number of things. That's how a coach can help in here, and that's how you can get unstuck.